Hello and welcome to the final video in this series. You've been looking at how to create a brilliant brand that outshines your competition and helps to build trust and loyalty, but I'm afraid it doesn't stop there. There's a reason why large corporations employ brand managers. It's so they can constantly adjust their brands and keep them on track so that they stay relevant and compelling and so that their brand promise doesn't get diluted. We've all been through many changes recently, which affects the way people respond to brands. But even without huge game-changing moments, our customers and their habits can alter. So here's a reminder of the 3 pillars of communication we've been looking at. You should now have a strong visual identity that will appeal to your target customer, as well as be clear about the tone and language you need to use to reflect your brand personality. We've also looked at your messages and how to create them so that they really connect emotionally. The next job is to make sure you are single-minded about implementing these pillars. Do you remember this slide from our first video? We talked about the 2 axes for building your brand. This series of videos has focused on the Y axis that makes sure you build the brand reputation you want to. But now you need to make sure that the 3 pillars are communicated consistently across your full reach. That means at every touch point with your target customer, i.e. every place or time they come into contact with you. The touchpoint model was developed by Davis and Davis and shows where you might come into contact with your target customer pre-purchase, during purchase, and afterwards. It's really important that you don't just focus on the pre-purchase when you're trying to gain awareness. That's where you're hoping to convert new business, new donors, or new recruits, depending on your brand objectives. But you need to check you are following through during and post contact. Think about everything from advertising and your website to the nitty-gritty of how the phone is answered, your stationery and email signature. Then think about how you follow up to nurture your customers so that they come back or refer you. You'll see in the slide that I've started to populate with some examples, but of course you should use the touch points that are relevant to your organisation. You may find it useful to list your touch points in a table like this. Again, I've already started to populate it, but there will be many, many more touch points. Next, give yourself a score for each of the 3 brand pillars. It's time to be really honest. You can do this on your own, but if you can brainstorm with a colleague, you will get a much more true picture. This is not very scientific, but it gets you to think hard about how well you are tracking at every touch point. For each touch point, give yourself a score out of 10 for how well you are getting across your brand visually, tonally, and emotionally. Give a different score for each, referring back to the previous videos. 10 is a high score, very on brand. 1 is pretty poor and needs a lot more work. This will help you identify where to focus. For the more visual amongst you, you can visualize the output on a brand web, which helps you to see where to focus more easily. Create 1 reel for each of the 3 pillars, with each spike representing a touch point. Plot your scores on the web. The closer the lines are to the outer circumference, the better you are at getting across your brand. If they are close to the center, they need some work. In this example, you can see that this brand needs some work on its visual identity, on its website, advertising and follow-up, amongst other things, but their customer service and Instagram are scoring well. It's also worth revisiting the 3 pillars from time to time. We've all been through many changes recently, which affects the way people respond to brands, but even without huge game-changing moments, our customers and their habits can alter. These are some of the behaviour trends we started to see come out of COVID-19. When something major like that happens that affects many people, don't continue with business as normal. There may be elements of your brand you can dial up, and indeed there may be many elements that are just not relevant anymore. So it's important to take a look at your target customer again and review your 3 pillars of communication. Have a think about whether your audience has been affected by something. Do you need to make changes to the products or services you offer? What changes has your audience made to their lifestyle, and how do you need to change when and where you reach them? And have you noticed any industry trends? Do you need to adapt your brand communications? So remember, tracking your brand is an important part of developing a brilliant brand to make sure you remain relevant always. Don't get bogged down in the models here, they're just there to help you. As long as you are alert to changes in your customer's mindset and adapt appropriately and in a timely way, you will go a long way to remaining compelling and attractive to them. And if you feel you need some extra guidance to work through this, I'd of course be more than happy to help. Please feel free to contact me for my flexible mentoring packages. Whether you want to define your brand, audit your brand to check you're on track, or simply receive some ongoing support while you implement your brand. You can contact me directly or see my website for further information. Alternatively, follow my social media for some more branding inspiration and tips. Thank you for listening, and if you liked what you heard, please subscribe to my channel and press the thumbs up. Thank you, and good luck building your brilliant brand.